Okay. Are you ready for
So come on, Joe. What you got to say about my
exciting
music
edition of-
tonight?
what?
What you got to say about my music tonight, dude? Come on. You know you
It's
always
the
have a
same
go.
music. We've already been through this. Now look, you're trying to trigger me right now, and I don't appreciate it. I am gonna go for my safe space, bitch.
You want some crayons? You want some finger paint while you're in
I
there?
want something because you're triggering me
I would
right
give
now.
you a
and I'm feeling
milkshake.
very sexually harassed by this.
I would give you a milkshake, but I know that's like the SJW's weapon of
Yeah.
choice, so I don't want
That's
to
right.
cover the milkshake, dude.
That's right. We soy boys, we know how to fling a milkshake.
Now, before we get going tonight, I've got a big shout out to give somebody in the chat room. One of my mods, and I found him over on Unirock's channel, and it just happens to be, folks, and I want everyone to give the big man a big kind of round of applause in the chat here, but Dodger, I want to send you a big, massive happy birthday, brother, and especially from Saggy. Saggy wanted everyone to know that it's your birthday today, so many happy returns, and I'm really, I'm promised that for somebody that's just turned 65, you don't look a day over 50, dude. No, but big shout out to Dodger in the chat
Hey, I
room.
had to wait. I wanted to tell Dodger happy birthday here, so it killed me to have to wait to say happy birthday. But happy birthday, Dodge.
Yeah, the Dodge, man. He's some character, Uni, isn't he?
He's excellent.
That's fantastic.
So, as everyone can see, and as we've been building up for days now, we have got the ultimate rocker with us, Uni, in the house. How you doing, man?
Great. Thanks for having me, Kev. Looking
Thanks for
forward to talking
having
to
you.
guys.
You're the dude that got me started in this madness of live streaming, man.
Oof.
You gave me the
So,
bug.
wait a minute, Kev. So Uni's the guy that got you into live streaming? How did that start?
Well, you know how I was really fond of that 17th letter of the alphabet?
Yes.
And myself and Scott, we would like joke and we would say it was like a web bot, or we thought it was like some fortune cookie thing. We never had a clue who was behind it.
Honest to God, I had no idea it was so I don't want to say, I had no idea it was so big.
Yeah, so big, Joe. But yeah, so I started to trawl about the net. You know, I'm thinking somebody must have the dirt on what's going on here. Comes across this fella here, Unirock, and not only did he have the dirt, because 9 times out of 10 on YouTube, everyone's got dirt on something, right? But there's never anything to back it up.
Yeah.
So here it goes into this stream, and I'm thinking, dang, not only is he naming names, but he's got the evidence to back it up. So that's how I first came across Uni, and for anyone out there who wants to know the truth about Q, a lot of people worked on it, and I'm sure Uni would be the first one to say that, but he put it together, wrapped a nice little bow around it, and for anyone who wants the full story with the kind of evidence to support it, head on over to Unirock's main channel, and Uni, let everyone know where they can find all of your channels, man, because you're spreading out on YouTube.
Yeah, man. I just got another channel going. Uni Review is where I review tech and stuff. It just started that one. And then Unirock 2 is our live spot. Our main channel, Unirock TV. Check it out.
And of course, that depends how long we actually last on YouTube now. But of course, we all love YouTube here. Nothing bad
But
against
that
Google.
seems pretty safe, though.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, tech reviews and stuff. I mean, you'd think so. I would.
Yeah.
That's educational content. That's content with value, according
I'm
to
just
Google.
not seeing if you're just doing a tech review. I can't imagine that it would be that that bad. I don't know.
No, I think it'd be all right.
that I used to do them all the time in tutorials, all that good stuff. Some of my highest view videos were those kind of videos, and I just kind of got shied away from it with all the stuff that happened. Man. But
anytime I need to do something that I don't know how to do, it's the first place I go. YouTube. Yep. Go look it up. Hey, damn, I need to change the power steering pump on my Mazda. YouTube.
Absolutely everything on there. We were even looking at like because our cat's got a couple of claws that are quite big right now, needing cut. She's old, you know, and we were looking on there today. And of course, there's claw cutting tutorials over on YouTube. There's everything.
How do you like that?
But you know, before we get going today as well, Scotty Lopez, you're sitting there, very quiet, sir, and I am armed. I am armed with a new emoji, folks. We have got the Shrek emoji, Uni. We've got a new Shrek emoji, right? But it's Scott as Shrek. He done it to himself before anyone thinks I abused Scott and made him into Shrek. But we need 2 new members tonight to unleash the Kraken, as they say. How you doing, Scott?
Wow.
Do you have an AOC? Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
No, I do. I do. Of course I have an AOC.
Oh, but no, we got an AOC. We got an AOC.
Absolutely.
But we really need to get those 2 members. I want to see that Scott Shrek emoji just flooding the chat tonight. So, I mean, let's get this going.
Absolutely. Uni, do I detect a bit of sarcasm there when you were asking me if I had an AOC emoji?
No, I actually like that idea. I'm going to have to grab one myself and add it to my channel. So
even Anne's sitting here laughing now. Anne's sitting laughing because she knows I've got a sick perversion for AOC. So it's all good.
Yeah, man.
I don't do politics like you, Uni. None of us here do politics. So we're not going to talk about any of that tonight. But I do like to trigger people with the odd AOC in the chat room, you know.
It's not that we don't. It's that we know what happens when we do.
Yeah.
So
I avoid it at all costs
to
myself.
Avoid it. Yeah.
So, of course, Uni, you usually find yourself not intentionally at the center of a whole heap of drama on YouTube. But it's nice to bring you over onto this stream tonight, and hopefully we'll avoid
so you're trying
any
to get some drama over here? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, we need some drama. It's undoubtedly going to fill up with drama. In fact, with Uni being here, we might even find our chat getting attacked with bots and things. You just never know what might happen, dude. Yeah.
Yeah, that's been happening to me a lot lately.
You guys have like those robots that come after you and attack you?
No joke. We've been having to turn on slow mode, which I never did for years. 3 years on YouTube. Never used slow mode one time, but the last 2 months we've been getting a lot of bots, and we know who it is. I don't think they realize we do, but I don't think they care. So yeah, we get them every 2-3 days, I'd say. Yeah.
Yep. Wow. Absolutely. Now
we were talking about that, Kev, the power of the bot farms and things, from everything from doing what is happening to you, Uni, to even falsifying customer reviews on Amazon and things like that, to where you buy a piece of shit when it's got 5 stars. Oh man, 500 5-star reviews. Great. I'm going to grab that. And it ends up being a piece of shit because those 500 5-star reviews are bots. I mean, it's really started to make the waters of electronic commerce extremely murky, you know, very hard.
You can kind of track it because, like, if you look at that, that stuff that changes your face, or, the deep fake thing, as that gets further and further, that's just a script that runs. So if their scripts can do that kind of thing now, you know that these low-level scripts of sharing and liking are very, very easy to use. So, we've hit that phase. Anyone can get them now. So
I think the best demonstration that I've seen of that, Uni, was when you were looking at the last adpocalypse, when all of the stuff was going on kids' videos and things like that, and you went to find where it all really started. And there was this one account that was tweeting things out every 18 seconds. It was tagging everybody on the internet, dude. It just wasn't natural, you know?
Oh, yeah, man. And it's easy to tell, which is the one good thing about it, You can kind of like trace it back a little bit.
So right now, we are in the middle of a little bit of drama, obviously. We've been talking a lot about blue chickens and things like that. And yeah, there's a blue chicken emoji for any people out there. And, well, things are never quite what they seem. Let's just put it that way. And it's hard to make out what's going on. It really is. Now, I know I've been working with Ryan closely. We put out a recording that Ryan got at Contact in the desert, and you would think normally we were getting close to the end game. But not so much, Uni, right?
No, there's been a very big turn, an accidental one, of course. It doesn't necessarily. We're in the beginning stages. A lot of confirmation has to happen, but turns out we made some assumptions a while back, and we need to confirm some things now before we move on. And if you want to get into it, we could, but it's all what you would want, how deep down the rabbit hole people want to go, I guess.
Well, we can definitely go deep down rabbit holes, Uni. I know on your stream you'll be able to show some of the evidence as well. So maybe we'll jump onto yours after this. I don't know. Maybe
that sounds great. Yeah.
But yeah.
Ooh, musical channels.
Yeah, so there'll be like a blue chicken bombshell on the way, and groovy.
So what do you want? Hey, do you want me to play my show music while we do the broadcast, and then when it stops, we jump to his channel?
That'd be awesome. That'd be awesome.
We'd be jumping in like 10 seconds.
Yeah, do we all like put the cameras on scroll, and then we'll take one of the frames away, and somebody drops out like musical cameras?
Yeah, that's fantastic. Oh boy, we could start a new craze.
Dude, you're the first to go. But yeah, there's been a lot of developments on everything going on with the blue chicken cult. So I think we'll let's just say
a lot of surprising stuff.
Very surprising.
No, that's great. Let me tell you something, guys. It's important, first of all, especially if you consider yourselves any sort of journalists, which I consider you guys to be, the way you research things and report on things, that you have to be able to eat humble pie when you have to do it, because that's how you maintain trust with those that watch you, is by saying, hey, we went down this road, we did this, and we were wrong, and this is what we found thus far, and I'm keeping you updated. And as long as you do that, I mean, that's what people are so thirsty for, is for those that can be trusted. And there's just a total and complete void of trust in any sort of media, whether it be independent, mainstream, or otherwise.
Uni, don't be thinking Joe's this like shining light of like morality and taking the
I
high
am
ground.
indeed. Hey,
and I say that because before we ever came across each other, Uni, years and years ago, when I was starting out on the radio, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed and looking for popularity, Joe comes to me one day and he says, Kev, I have got the perfect scoop for you, man. This is perfect for your show. It's going to launch you. I'm thinking, that sounds really good, man. Really good. It did. It did. But he told me, Uni, get this right, and you're going to laugh your tits off when you hear this, man. He says, Kev, I have got the ambassador from the Red Dragon family to come on your show to speak to you.
Red Dragon family. Yeah. I don't even know what I don't even know what that is, though.
Yeah,
it was Uni. He was extremely high level in the what was it? The Chinese underground syndicate, some ancient.
I don't know.
Anyway,
yeah.
I think.
Oh, okay.
The White Knights are Benjamin Fulford, right, or the White Ninjas, or the White Dragon family, or White something. And then there's the red side, and it was this ambassador that Gwen had told me about, Kev. And I said to myself, why, this is right up your alley, since you get into the deep, dark recesses of the internet, and that's not where I venture. So it was all you. So yeah, and it did, man. I mean, your popularity went through the roof with the Red Dragon, Yeah. And rightfully so. And at the end, you ate humble pie and said, oh, you know what? I found out it's all BS. But
it was utter bunkum, Uni. It was utter bunkum.
Totally bunkum. But in the end, you gained massive subscriberships and trust because you did it in real time. They basically watched you in real time, almost like reality TV, grow into the Kev Baker that you are today.
And then I had to kind of like eat lots of humble pie. It was bad. If you could find those videos, thankfully, like YouTube made me take 1,600 videos down, so they're all gone now. But I was literally sitting talking to somebody, calling them Mr. Ambassador. What the hell,
it
dude?
was the most funny. I tell you what, I was laughing hysterically while I was listening to it. But I watched your subscribers go through the roof, Kevin. That was what it was all about back then. Is Click Horrory was your name, the name of your game.
I tell you, no, you're right though. You're right though, and that's how I can appreciate. When I watch some of these YouTubers, and you'll know what I'm talking about here. That they get that buzz, they jump on the trending topic, they get the hits, they get the views, and you don't even need to be monetized. Take the money out of it, because I wasn't monetized at that point.
Right.
Just seeing your channel actually growing, what a buzz! It's an absolute thrill. Yep. And then all of a sudden it starts to wane, and you just go back to getting like 10, 15 views on your crap again.
Yeah,
so you think, how do I get that back?
Up and down, really.
Yeah, how do I get that back? And you get the Red Dragon Ambassador
my Skype
back
just
on.
cut out a little bit.
You're all right, dude. We've got you here, man.
Good.
Yes.
And same thing happened at Sheeple.
I'm back. Sorry.
I took over Sheeple's channel with like 2,000 subscribers on it. Next thing you know, in 6 months, I've got 22,000. And you're right. It's a roller coaster ride, and you never know when you're going to have that video that hits. But boy, oh boy, are you trying like crazy for it? You really are.
Absolutely. And coming across uni, and there's others out there as well, but certainly keeps people like me and other YouTubers and other radio hosts, it should be keeping them honest. And I certainly try my hardest now to double down and make sure what I'm putting out is correct, because I would hate to be the main star of Red Pill to pay the bills, Uni.
Yeah, man, it's true. We all mess up. And the intention usually with all the shows I do around Red Pill to pay the bills is just to get the truth out there. And they usually start pretty tame, but quickly, due to, this drama wave you've talked about, you challenge somebody on a story and they take it personal nowadays. It's almost a defense mechanism. You always expect them to say, like, well, thank you for showing me that this is debunked or that you can prove this, but it just doesn't go that way as much as you think it would, No,
it definitely doesn't. And Joe, if you've got any links for me, send them on Facebook.
Well, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to send you this one right now because I think this is extremely relevant.
Yeah, because the Skype, if I open up the chat box, it's going to knock the cameras out. So send them on Facebook.
I'm going to send it on Facebook to you too, okay? But this one here is extremely relevant.
Right, that wasn't Facebook. That was Skype.
No, I know. I'm sending it to them on.
You see,
on
this
Skype.
is what I'm working with here, Uni.
Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain, Uni. It's simply.
I have a assistant myself. I know how it gets.
Oh, do you? It's horrible.
No, he's got an assistant called Busy. It's a loaf of bread.
Yeah, he's crazy, bro.
Joe's thinking what I walked into.
Your freaking chat box isn't opening, Kev. This is not good.
On Facebook?
Yeah.
It should be, man. I've got yours open. I messaged you.
I know you did, and it's not. Hold on.
Reload your browser. Yeah. So Uni, you've been talking about something lately, and I think you covered it last night on your show as well, right?
There we go.
And it's one of the scams that's going around social media, video sharing platforms. And it's this MMS stuff, dude.
Oh, right? Man, yeah.
There you go.
It's really disturbing, honestly.
Kev, let's get to that in just a minute.
Right. You want me to get this one up?
Here.
Okay, then. I'll open this one up.
Okay, so our favorite, most peer-reviewed, most honorable news site on the entire planet, the Metro, goes and writes a beautiful piece. We're in an age of apocalypse anxiety, and we'll never stop worrying about doomsday. I think this also has a big component in it when it comes to what we're just talking about with the amount of crazies that are out there, and also the amount of sane people.
I'm not ignoring you guys. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
My Skype kept cut. My Skype was cutting out. I wasn't ignoring you guys.
No, it's all good, man. You didn't miss much. But the amount of crazies that are out there, and then the amount of people that take advantage of the crazies that are out there, and even those that are deemed crazy are really not that crazy. They're just drowning in this really thick mire of apocalyptic crap. That's the only way I can describe it. It says, not so long ago, most people in the West thought the world would end on Judgment Day, and after the dead rose from their graves and joined Jesus on the journey into heaven. Now, of course, that seems unlikely because we're absolutely sure doomsday will come when climate change melts the ice caps and rising seas swallows our civilization.
Ooga booga.
And if that doesn't happen, by cracky, a killer computer will wipe us off the planet, as long as we manage to survive the inevitable nuclear war, alien invasion, or global pandemic. Of course, we don't know whether any of those disasters will come to pass because we're not much closer to accurately predicting the end of all things than we were in the days when early Christians penned the apocalyptic book of Revelations. We've been exploring all the possible ways life on Earth is going to develop in the coming year. And many predictions of the future have one common theme, that we're doomed.
Seriously?
And human civilization is going to end any day now, by God.
Seriously? Has Begley been on this story yet? Surely Begley's all over this one, right?
I'm looking. I'm kind of scanning it at the same time, but unfortunately, Kev, the honored, the revered
Pastor Begley
is not present.
You would think so.
And this is an extremely long piece. It's extremely long, so I'm not going to go over the whole thing. But from a psychological standpoint, I think it's absolutely spot on. You have not only a bunch of fear porn being pushed out there, and I think it's done on purpose. I think it's a lot of people are triggered by certain events, and they know it, so that they put that the conditions or the environment are right for people to be able to make assumptions, to speculate and draw conclusions that things will end badly. Also, taking into account human history kind of shows that humanity cyclically goes through ups and downs. So it's not really hard to come to a conclusion that we're fucked. It's really not. It's
every
really
generation thinks we're fucked, right?
Exactly. Now look, for example, at the baby boomers, right? The baby boomers went through a period where they thought they were fucked. And they ended up living through the most prosperous time in human history. Yet they went through it feeling like they were on the edge of destruction at all times, whether it be the Cuban Missile Crisis, whether it be the race riots of the late 60s here in the United States, whether it be the energy crisis of the 70s or the hyperinflation of the late 70s into the 80s. You can just go ahead and come up with many different reasons why you would think that things are on the edge of catastrophe. But they oversaw and were part of unbelievable prosperity. So it's really in how you perceive it, and it's also in what the individual experiences, not so much what the group itself experiences or humanity on the whole.
And it's that prosperity, right, that makes them the ideal target group for some of these fake stories and scams that are out there.
Absolutely. They are the numero uno demographic when it comes to targeting, especially when money is involved, when they're trying to sell something. And, you know, when it comes to news, when it comes to commentary, when it comes to anything, you're selling something. It's what you're trying to attract more viewership. You're trying to sell more product, whatever it is, you're trying to sell it. So, yeah, I mean.
So what do you think, guys? And I'll ask Uni this first, and then Scott, you can have a go, right?
Sure.
But Uni, how much do you think the driver behind all of these scams or LARPs, like we call them, is greed? And you also get people saying that there's psychological operations. You've got all the alphabet agencies, you know, they've got agents out there. How much do you think is greed and how much do you think is like outside influence, shall we say, without getting too conspiratorial that way, you know?
Yeah, to stay logical, it seems like a lot of marketing and a lot of greed. And you typically find that with most of these types of scams. I remember, I don't know, maybe like half of the people that I looked up and debunked something with and reached out to ended up honestly in their background have marketing or a marketing degree or viral, you know, trend analysis or whatever. You know, they did a lot of that. That one webpage, Report for the President, the guy marketed himself as a CIA, ex-CIA, and whistleblower, NSA guy, Intel guy, but when we find his YouTube channel and he forgot to private a couple old videos that were him basically telling people how to make viral things. So,
Oops.
exactly. So you got to weigh that in, like, whether or not this dude was CIA or not. And that's indicative of a lot of these types of scams or these types of things. It's really easy to kind of identify because there's really no reason, if it's outside of a belief system, like if it's outside of religion or if it's outside of something like that, you got to say, like, why do these people default to non-facts or to opinions, but act like it's truth and act like it's right and real when they can't even prove it to themselves? And that's usually the first indicator. So it has to be a lot of money, or the reasons. Out of everything, it seems like when you're talking about the people behind it, there's this just tiny influence. It's such a good network. It's such a good groundwork because you've got all these people on YouTube, and there are so many of them that will do a story for money. So, if you were some dude that was trying to affect an election and had a story that you wanted to get out there, you wouldn't probably target someone and have them work for you all the time, someone that'll have the goods on you and can link back to you. You'd probably just send $100 to someone to tell them to cover a story, or send 1,000 and say, hey, get this done. But it definitely is about money with a slight bit of influence behind it, I think.
And in all the years I've been on there, Scott, I mean, we've spoke about this. Ever since Trump came in, it seems like this thing has just escalated, right? People just pumping out crap. And on the face of it, sometimes it doesn't look like it's politically motivated, but when you start to dig down beneath it and start to look at it from 30,000, 60,000 foot and analysing what's really going on, you do see that there is political kind of strings attached to this, don't you?
You definitely do. I mean, go ahead, man.
Yeah, I was just about to say, Uni was right. I mean, a lot of this is just money driven and greed driven. And, you see when we're talking about, this whole thing revolving around a certain letter of the alphabet, look, you have merchandise going on, you have baseball caps and T-shirts being sold. And you talk about the boomer generation, right? That's who they're targeting. They're targeting these conservative boomers who are really naive. They're naive and they don't really understand a lot of the way the internet works. They don't understand a lot of the nuances that go on, and so they get sucked into this thing and they think that they're a part of something, and they're just being milked. They're being milked because of their naivety, and and of course fear sells. If you want to look at it, from a greater perspective, sensational headlines sell. I was talking about that video that Veritasium put out the other day, explaining why his video went viral. And we see that the YouTube algorithm right now is favoring sensational titles for videos and the clickability of the thumbnail. That's what it's all boiling down to now. So it's boiled down to sensationalism and clickability. And if that's where, if that's how your video is going to go viral, that's what people are going to focus on doing, especially if it's money driven. So
that's the one you're talking about there, right? 31 million views. It was uploaded.
Ooh,
what, 10th of May?
And he said, he chose that. I think it was Mr. Beast told him. He talked to Mr. Beast before he uploaded that video, and just by the title of the video and the thumbnail he chose, Mr. Beast told him, that's a banger right there. That's going to go viral. He already knew it was going to go viral just because Mr. Beast understood the way the YouTube algorithm worked, and sure enough, it did. It got 30 million hits. And so, of course, Veritasium, the guy that runs Veritasium, he made a follow-up video explaining why it went viral, and I think it's really important for people to watch that. But that plays into a lot of this stuff that we're talking about, and a lot of this stuff that we're trying to expose and cover, because it's sensational, sensational headlines, sensational clicks. It baits people in, and they keep it going, especially when we're talking about these kind of apocalyptic, the Begley types, the ones telling you that an asteroid's going to come in and hit the earth every other week. It's always something sensational, something wild, or these sites that or these channels that make outrageous claims about individuals, whether it be like on, whatever political spectrum, it could be on the left or the right or whatever. But, you see it a lot more, I would say, kind of on the conservative side, making these outrageous claims about politicians and individuals and Hollywood people. And there's like no basis in these accusations, but people just get baited into it. And it's pretty wild, and it is. Yeah, it's all money, man.
Yeah, as in Uni, I mean, you didn't start out on YouTube as being somebody that was a debunker or anything like this. You didn't come onto YouTube to kind of police it, but you found yourself there now having to do this stuff, man.
All right, thank you. Sobriety sucks.
Yes, I don't know if there was a message.
Yeah, definitely, man. It's it's just like you said. It's you got to ask yourself. Everybody wants to do a good title. Everybody wants to have a good thumbnail. But it's that topic in there, and it grabs people. Like Tom Hanks did this, and you got to go in and actually look at the evidence and say to yourself, did Tom Hanks do this? Is that true? And most of the time, it's so crazy what a group of people will believe. They literally see the title and they're primed, and people have figured this out. And that's why it's shocking. You'd think big groups of people would say to themselves, dude, I'm not going to let this title change my mind before I get into this video. But it definitely does now for some reason. And I think it's because we're on the Wild West. Like, a lot of people forget this, when it comes to the internet. It started a new thing, and we all thought that was the 90s internet that would be the new thing, but it wasn't, because in the 2000s is when the internet, thanks to the iPhone and the iPad, became a very available thing. And we're now just into 2019, 2020. So we've only had a very, very minuscule amount of time for people all over the world to start getting the internet into their hands. And we've forgotten that, I think, because we're a generation that's used to dialing up to the internet, and then we've done this for so long. We're like asking ourselves, how do all these people get convinced out of something by a sentence and literally walk away believing it? But that's it. They're just new, it's the new thing.
It's not anything new. The playbook is very old. It actually comes, they started really unlocking the human psyche in the late 19th century, basically. A guy by the name of Gustav Le Bon and Wilhelm.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. No.
No.
I know what you're talking about for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, but the guy in the U.S. that really, really, really put it to use was a guy named Edward Bernays. And his biggest book, his biggest hit, he had two of them. The first one was Crystallizing Public Opinion in 1923. And that kind of went over, and it got into the weeds, and it was too technical, basically, to really be put to widespread use. It was more along the lines of a peer-reviewed type of book. So he simplified it, and in 1929, he wrote Propaganda. And Propaganda is by far and away one of the most heavy reads that I have ever written, and it's extremely easy to understand and read, but it gives you an overview of why things are the way they are. And he wrote it before he actually, or at the time, he was implementing it in the private sector, basically taking the United States from an agrarian needs-based society to an urban desires-based society. And I think chapter 1, the first few pages, really kind of highlight exactly how powerful this book is. And again, I have to tell you, it was written in 1929, but tell me that it doesn't sound like something out of today's independent media sites. And he starts it out called Organizing Chaos. So of course you create the chaos and then you have to organize it. And he says the conscience and intelligent manipulation of the organized habits and opinions of the masses is an important element in democratic society. Those who manipulate this unseen mechanism of society constitute an invisible government, which is the true ruling power of our country. We're governed, our minds are molded, our tastes formed, our ideas suggested, largely by men we've never heard of. And this is a logical result of the way in which our democratic society is organized. Vast numbers of human beings must cooperate in this manner if they're to live together as a smooth functioning society. Our invisible governors are, in many cases, unaware of the identities of their fellow members in the inner cabinet. They govern us by their qualities of natural leadership, their ability to supply needed ideas by their key positions in the social structure. Whatever attitude one chooses to take towards this condition, it remains a fact that in almost every act of our daily lives, whether in the sphere of politics or business, in our social conduct or our ethical thinking, we are dominated by a relatively small number of persons, a trifling fraction. And at the time this was written, of our 120 million people who understand the mental process and social patterns of the masses. It is they who pull the wires which control the public mind, who harness old social forces and contrive new ways to bind and guide the world. It's not usually realized how necessary these invisible governors are to the orderly functioning of our group life. In theory, every citizen may vote for whom he pleases. Our Constitution does not envision political parties as part of the mechanism of government, and its framers seem not to have pictured to themselves the existence in our national politics of anything like the modern political machine. But the American voters soon found that without organization and direction, their individual votes, cast perhaps for dozens or hundreds of candidates, would produce nothing but confusion. Invisible government, in the shape of rudimentary political parties, arose almost overnight. And ever since then, we've agreed, for the sake of simplicity and practicality, that party machines should narrow down the field of choice to 2 candidates, or at most 3 or 4. In theory, every citizen makes up his own mind on public questions and matters of private conduct. But in practice, if all men had to study for themselves the obtrusive economic, political, and ethical data involved in every question, they would find it impossible to come to a conclusion about anything. We have voluntarily agreed to let an invisible government sift through the data and high spot the outstanding issues so that our field of choice shall be narrowed to practical proportions. For our leaders and the media they use to reach the public, we accept the evidence and the demarcation of issues bearing upon public questions. For some ethical teacher, be it a minister, a favorite essayist, or merely prevailing opinion, we accept a standardized code of social conduct to which we conform most of the time. In theory, everybody buys the best and cheapest commodity offered to him on the market. In practice, if everyone went around pricing and chemically testing before purchasing the dozens of soaps or fabrics or brands of bread which are for sale, economic life would be hopelessly jammed. So, to avoid such confusion, society consents to have its choices narrowed to ideas and objects brought to its attention through propaganda of all kinds. And there's consequently a vast and contentious effort going on to capture our minds in the interest of some policy or commodity or idea. It's better to have, instead of propaganda and special pleading, committees of wise men who chose our rulers, dictate our conduct, private and public, and decide upon the best types of clothes for us to wear and the best kinds of foods for us to eat. But we've chosen the opposite method, that of open competition. So we must find a way to make free competition function with reasonable smoothness. To achieve this, society has consented to permit free competition to be organized by leadership and propaganda. Some of the phenomenon of this process are criticized: the manipulation of news, the inflation of personality, and the general ballyhoo by which politicians and commercial products and social ideas are brought to the consciousness of the masses. The instruments by which public opinion is organized and focused may be misused. Maybe. But such organization and focusing are necessary to orderly life. As civilization has become more complex, and as the need for invisible government has been increasingly demonstrated, the technical means have been invented and developed by which opinion may be regimented. With the printing press and the newspaper, the railroad, the telephone, the telegraph, the radio, and the airplanes, ideas can be spread rapidly and even instantaneously across and over the whole of America. And of course now,
the internet.
100 years later, instant? I mean, that was instant to them, you know? Telegraph, instant. But now, I mean, it's crazy. H.G. Wells senses the vast potential of these inventions. He wrote this in the New York Times. Quote, modern means of communication, the power afforded by print, telephone, wireless, and so forth, of rapid putting through directive strategic or technical conceptions to a great number of cooperating centers, of getting quick replies and effective discussion, have opened up a new world of political processes. Ideas and phrases can now be given an effectiveness greater than the effectiveness of any personality and stronger than any sectional interest. The common design can be documented and sustained against perversion and betrayal. It can be elaborated and developed steadily and widely without personal, local, and sectional misunderstanding. So what Mr. Wells says of political processes is equally true of commercial and social processes and all manifestations of mass activity. The groupings and affiliations of society today are no longer subject to local and sectional limitations, because that sphere of influence, guys, has become now global and not local and not sectional. And when the Constitution was adopted, the unit of organization was the village community, which produced the greater part of its own necessary commodities and generated its group ideas and opinions by personal contact and direct discussion among its citizens. Now today, because ideas can be instantaneously transmitted to any distance and any number of people, this geographical integration has been supplemented by many other kinds of grouping, so that persons have the same ideas and interests may be associated and regimented for common action, even though they live thousands of miles apart, which is what you didn't have before. But now you have people of like mind coming together, and actually you're actually concentrating that brain power now, you know, and it's just absolutely transformed things over the last 100 years.
But you mentioned propaganda there. I mean, that's what 90% of the content on YouTube is now, right?
Absolutely.
It's all propagandized. That's what it is. And what's led us to this point where people will just believe anything, though? Be it Q, be it blue chickens, be it the MMS stuff. Scotty,
saturation, Kev.
Yeah,
saturation.
Thanks, Scotty's one in there too, man.
Yeah, that, and also, you know, the fact like that we are getting this stuff out to more people. There's so many more people that now leave, like they may get introduced to the internet through Facebook. Like people used to, the web browser was the main thing for so long, and now it's a video site and a social media thing. So you got lots of people that we weren't like conditioned to see all the junk on the internet through using a web browser, and they got to skip all of that, and now they're getting into the internet through these. They're either being born now and just growing up into it, or you know, they're boomers, or like you guys said, where they may pick up an iPad now and get thrust directly into this, so that they're affected by that propaganda like they've never been before.
Yeah, and the thing is that, you know, talking about the boomer generation, at least, you know, like I said, they're they don't understand a lot of how the internet works, and a lot of the deceptive practices that go on the internet, right? So, they grew up in a generation to where they watched Walter Cronkite on TV. They trusted the news. The news was,
because
was trustworthy.
They knew there was a vetting process, right?
Well, yeah,
or they at least thought there was.
At least they thought there was. Yeah, I mean, we could get into all, like Operation Mockingbird and all that stuff.
Course.
I mean, but the thing is that they came from a generation to where at least journalism was present, and that a lot of the news stories were actually true, and there was some quality to what they were seeing, and that they could trust it. And now, they go on the internet, they see these websites pop up that look like news sites, and they assume it's trustworthy. You know what I mean? They don't understand that there's a bunch of websites out there putting out deceptive information, and that these sites are, putting out these bogus bullshit sensational headlines that have, that can't even be proven and nothing to back it up. But they don't really understand that, and so they just take it as, oh wow, that's a legit news story, and then we've gone through this whole thing to where people's attention spans have shortened, and
miserably short.
People won't even go and read the article, so they just see the headline while they're scrolling through their Facebook newsfeed. And share it immediately without even checking if there's checking sources or anything like that.
Well,
and
because Facebook is a data collection site, they have the metrics to show people and show companies, hey, this is the behavior trend that we're seeing. You don't have to really focus on the article. You got to focus on that headline because they don't even read it. So focus on the headline and make it as cliquish as you possibly can, because that's where you're going to get the, they know how to get people to do it, because Scotty, they've got the measurements now and the documentation to support it.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, that's what they've been doing. I mean, that's what the whole goal of, social media is to just funnel data, and gather as much data on everybody and track the trends of how society is operating, so that's where we're at right now, unfortunately, is that everything is basically clickbait driven. Nobody tries to source anything anymore. It's all about how many clicks you can get.
And being first, because if you're first, you get more clicks.
And Kev said, how have we reached this point to where people just believe
money,
anything that they see? And it's because we've been conditioned over the years. Yep. This has been a multi-year process. This has been going on since, like you said, Joe, since the 20s, since Bernays really became an influence.
I think it also has to do with Kev's pink shirt and the fact that it triggers me.
It's not actually as pink as it looks. It's actually it's the filter I've got on the camera. That's the excuse I'm going to use tonight. You accusing me of being a soy boy?
On camera, dude. It's pink.
Did I get soy boyed on my own stream?
Soy boy pink shirt. Jesus Christ! Are you wearing Ann's shirt? That's what it is. I'm a lot of love. I'm so lost without you.
Dude, you'll get me hit with a copyright for that, dude. Don't be singing like that. Hell, man. Hell. No.
Well, I did it so that it's not copyrighted.
Well, I think we're about 50 minutes in here, Uni, right? And there's lots of people in the chat room asking about bombshells and things like that.
Oh yeah.
So should we start to?
Yeah, we could go into it a little bit.
Oh, dude, knock it out! I am all your slippers on and ready to rock.
So. We've been covering this whole Doxgate, Uni. You've been on it from the start, right? Where we had characters that were pushing the blue chicken cult, as we call them affectionately. You've got your David Wilcox, Corey Goods, Jordan Sathers. And we had always suspected there were shenanigans going on. And then we go back a couple of months, Uni, right, to something called Doxgate. So for anyone out there who doesn't know what Doxgate is initially, just give them a little taste of what that was, dude.
Okay, so here's Doxgate. we have basically on, let's say, Twitter, Joe from the Carolinas. You know, a lot of people know who he is. If you don't, he's a guy that was covering. He was doing a lot of debunking, but he has a really good show, and he files Freedom of Information Act requests. He does hard research. You know, he pulls sources. Anything the guy says is sourced, and he always shouts out, you know, like, let's say he brings up something that is known to be out there since, like, you know, 1983 by you know, I won't name a researcher, but he'll source them, and he does great work. He gained a lot of respect. So he'd criticize some of this blue chicken cult stuff like any normal good sourced researcher would, and his name ended up on Twitter with his full docs, and I'm talking full docs. Of course, we've talked about that. We've done a lot of research. Thanks to you know, the Kelly coming out, she brought out actual screen caps of a group, a Facebook group, which we all know how Facebook works, but if you don't, you can actually have a hidden group or a secret group. It's a group that isn't publicly visible, that you have to have a direct invite to, that you have a lot more controls over than you would a public group. But anyway, so Kelly brings out these screenshots that'll you know, alludes to this fact that Joe was doxxed by Jordan Sather, a big blue chicken woo pusher, and Corey Good. So that story drops, everybody grabs it, everybody's talking about it. They, you know, Kelly being a whistleblower, Kelly being from somebody that was in the group that had a change of heart, that decided herself that she would, you know, grab the evidence and make sure that she could prove it, contacting and you know, a podcaster / whatever YouTube broadcaster, CW Chanter, puts out this information. They send it to several other channels. That's basically Docs Gate. So very, very, very short timeline. November is the Docs. February is the Docs Gate, where Kelly is showing where the docs came from and who was involved, all the way up to now. Of course, you guys have heard that after I did my first video, I contacted Joe, talked to him, and once it was kind of like known that it could be proven who did this, the FBI was contacted because there's a HIPAA law and medical law, but you know, I won't go into any specific detail too much. But that's Docs Gate, that was updated this last weekend, when Ryan recorded Emory Smith making some statements about Docs Gate and about getting, because his name was you know, in the screenshots. So we've decided yesterday, I believe, and the day before, you know, you've gotten Ryan on and he's talked about this. So we made the decision that we need to get bigger channels involved, because it's only going to go one of two ways, like every story on the internet. Either bigger channels are going to cover it and it's going to go up and people are going to know and they can see everything for themselves and make a decision, or it's just going to go down. And, you know, only the few thousand people that really know anything about what's going on will ever really know. So we decided to put a paste bin together. Now, luckily, Kelly and CW sent me everything in an email. So we were going to take a paste bin, which, I'm getting ahead of myself. If you don't know what a paste bin is, it's basically just a file that lets you type things, link things, and share things. And we want to give that out to the bigger channels. So yesterday we started putting that together. And by doing that, we needed a few things. But if you want to interject at this point before we go on any further, I'll let you talk, or anyone else add anything.
So,
I don't want to.
So that's like a Dropbox then? Is that what you're saying? Same thing?
No, a Dropbox is a place where you can store files.
Yeah.
The paste bin is a thing to where, like, I can send you an email and it has, I can type in it, I can put pictures in it, I can put links in it. It's exactly like that, but it's in a link. So it's just a link that you click that leads to a file I create that gives all information in all sources.
Oh, I got you. Okay.
Yeah, and
so, you know,
I didn't know that.
like you say, Uni, I mean, this is the kind of story that I actually expected when Ryan's recording came out of Emory, that it would go viral, because I thought lots of people would be, and when I say lots of people, I'm talking tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people would be interested in this, right? Because that's how many people are following these channels that are pushing blue chicken woo. You would think there would be a huge clamor from people to find out, well, what's at least been said. Whether they believed it or not, that's not the case, but you would think there would be a big interest in this, because within ufology, the blue chicken woo and the stuff that, Wilcock, your Sathers and your Goods, they're really prominent, Uni, right? They're really kind of at the kind of top end of when it comes to ufology info. Whether people believe it or not, that they're big stars in ufology, right?
You mean like Sather and Wilcock?
Yeah, that's why I thought there would be like huge interest in this. So
you'd think, I mean, there will be. It just, we really do have to, because right now as it sits, and I went and looked, once Ryan came out and there was this, that's big. The reason why it would be big now is because Emory is involved. Emory is the same thing as Jordan and Corey, the equal to, in the same business type company thing that goes around and says this, same respect level, even bigger. Emory was on track. Emory's start was more viral than Corey's and Jordan coming out too. But Jordan, doesn't have any, he's not a whistleblower, he's just a reporter. But anyway, he was the biggest. So this is a massive thing because you got to think about it in terms of how it will affect people that believe them, not people that watch us. The people that believe them are only going to be swayed by direct evidence, and then finding out that one of their own people is, stating all of this. It's an opportunity for their audience to see it and hear it from someone they already believe. Then it will trigger them to actually, a lot of things won't trigger them to look at the evidence. But if, let's say Jordan came out and said, I did this, they'd want to see the evidence, or Corey or Emory. So that's big. And that's why when Ryan released it, I'm like, this is it. This is what'll make it get out to lots of people, So that's what we're working on legitimately now. Because a lot of these guys, one of the big stories of the Facebook group was that they were telling people, hey, you need to make a web page and you need to say on the web page this, and you need to talk about my story, and this is what happened. And it's like, you're kind of telling people how to report your story. And that's not what we want. We want to give people the evidence so they can report it their way and let it naturally evolve. But anyway, yeah, this is that thing. So that's what we're attempting. Unfortunately, there have been major discoveries made in doing this. You get me?
I get you.
It's extremely complicated, but go ahead, Kev.
No, I get you. I don't know how far you want to go with this right now.
I'll go as far as you want, bro. I mean, I think everyone needs to know, but I mean, it's all about the time and place.
Well, just when you think we're starting to put everything together and we're getting close to the end game, as Uni was saying, when you start to put all the evidence in there to send out to the other bigger YouTubers with hundreds of thousands of subs, that might pick this up and cover it.
And I have some of them saying if I get this to them, not me specifically, but if they can get the proof and the evidence, they'll run a story. So it's very important that we operate very quickly also and get them what they need because, they're very busy people too. So,
but when you start going back over all of the evidence that the Doxgate was based on. And I remember watching this all unfolding, really, Uni, when you were covering it. And I think the information was brought to you, like you said, by Kelly and CW. Now, I know I'm going to laugh here, right? No offense to CW. I hang out in his chat and watch some of his videos and things. But you two had a really big kind of beef over this, dude. There was a big fallout, not from you, but CW kind of flipped out on you and it caused a whole heap of drama. Right at the time when all of this was coming out, right?
And it happened. And I did make sure to let people know.
By inserting retrovirus in chicken genome.
Blue is by inserting retrovirus in chicken genome. Don't give them ideas, DJ. Don't give them ideas.
Plenty of ideas.
They'll get some chicken CRISPR on the go and they'll be doing it, man.
Yeah, but back when that happened, I tried to let everyone know that we wanted a resolution, and I hope that's still a thing. When he came out and stated he had problems with this and that and this, I was very quick to show him, okay, look, you're misunderstanding this. Look at this. Okay, 46 shoutouts. I don't want to go into it because I don't want to bring up old shit, but I just want to make sure everybody understands. We did everything we could to make him happy. We gave him what he wanted. We told him, hey, we made an error. We'll fix it. We didn't find any errors we made, but still in the end, that was the goal. So yeah, even though that did happen, it's just one of those tiffs between channels. The only way it becomes drama is basically how people react to it. And how the YouTubers involved decide to react to it. And our side is as simple as we'll fix it, we'll make it good, and everything will move on. But discoveries are discoveries. Things that we find are things we find. So That's been resolved as far as I can tell from both sides.
Good stuff.
Thankfully, because
Good.
that means we can move forward with actually doing this. Because, like, to be completely honest, and this is not a dig or an insult or anything shady, the person that really should be cataloging the evidence and then sending it to bigger channels and contacting those channels, which it takes a lot of time to do this stuff. But it should be the person that came out with it. CW wanted a lot of the shout outs and we gave it to him. He wanted to make sure things were set how it was. We tried. But there's still more work. It doesn't stop once you do the story on your channel, of course. So
do you think that's an oversight on the individual's part on purpose, or do you think it's just because the person may not know what's involved in kind of putting that together?
As the story goes on, you will find your answer, my friend.
Okay.
We have barely touched the top of the iceberg. No,
Wow.
I mean, at this part of the story, you could definitely say it seems that way, but I will assure everyone in the audience that we know everything. We've got it all. We know what's up. I'll state that. So
is that as far as
it could have easily been.
Is that as far as we're going with it on this stream, Uni, until we get over to yours with the evidence?
Yeah, as long as there's pictures, it's just like books. I like pictures in it. Is there pictures?
Oh no, I've got pictures. I've got proof. I've got backup. I got evidence. I got whatever you need.
Look at that, Kev.
And the audience will have it all too. So it's all good.
We've got Lisa.
But
wow. We've got a super chat coming in a second, Uni. So I don't want the super. There we go. Wow.
All right.
Blue chicken, blue cow.
Blue chicken, blue cow. Exactly. Lisa.
Wow.
Yep. Well, it actually started brown chicken, brown cow, but then obviously we turned it into blue chicken, blue cow.
Hey, you gotta put your own style to it.
Exactly, dude. So I think that super chat came at the perfect time, right? Because now we're getting into the real meat and potatoes of the story, Uni, because in putting all of this together, in collating all of the evidence, there's a problem.
There's a problem. Many.
Yes.
Many big problems. So let's just go ahead and start with the problems. And like I said, we'll go to my stream after this, and I will pull everything up on my screen. Obviously, I don't have the ability to do that through Skype, so we'll do it on my stream. But one of the major problems is in November when this all happened, let's just say this. When rechecking, when building the pastebin file, it is imperative that we, of course, have a journalistic standard no matter what we call ourselves, and we check all evidence, which was done again. And due to new developments in the story, we have had to reassess certain people's roles, okay? So, like, Kelly's the whistleblower. Due to, finding out that she's when we were brought the story, Kelly was a member of a Facebook group, and she left the group and contacted a YouTuber and got the story out. But due to changes in the story now, Kelly is not just that. She is someone that was working with that YouTuber from basically long before Doc's Gate happened on his channel. And in that happening, it triggered us to say, well, we can't necessarily say Kelly's a whistleblower. What does that mean for the story? If her role in the group was different than what we thought in the beginning, does that mean we can trust what she's saying? No, but don't worry. We will use the evidence and that was claimed and shown that to get to the real answer. And obviously, we expect to find the real answer. We expect to find what we were told by Kelly and CW, that they have enough evidence to be able to state who's at the top of the group, and that who doxed who is correct, and it's not someone else, and that it's proven. And that's the problem. So where are we at now, and how will that go forward? Well, basically, we need and I'm not talking this just for me. So, like, if CW still hates me and he's like, fuck Uni, don't worry. It's not even me. There's a big group of YouTubers looking into this all independently. Go on.
Even myself, I mean, if anyone out there knows CW, I mean, I've been in his chat a couple of times. I don't know the dude. I like watching his videos, like watching you, Uni. And I would like to get all of this information put together, all of the original screenshots.
We have to,
and everything. So I get that you two have had a beef. These things happen. And if CW or Kelly feels a bit more happy approaching me, getting in contact with me, I would really appreciate that. So anyone out there who knows CW or Kelly, if you can ask them to DM me on Twitter, I'm everywhere. I'm like herpes on social media. I'm spread all over the place, dude. So it's not hard. It's not hard to find me on there if you want to get a hold of me, you know. So
you do kind of look like a drippy penis.
Because I was looking at some of the stuff today, and some of it just, I don't know. I think we're missing. I think we're missing something. Stuff. Yep, we're missing something, man.
So basically, what do we say to ourselves once we realize that we are missing some stuff, and how do we reckon that and fix it to get the information out so that other YouTubers are comfortable putting this out? Because that's what they want.
Let the facts get in the way of a good story, Uni. That's rule number one.
Happening here. So, like, you know, we need everything, of course, and I don't mean we like me. I mean we like even the big channels that want to cover it.
French we.
We, yes.
Yeah, because the big channel, the big channels won't touch it until everything is there. All the ducks are lined up in a row, and they can look at it all, and the like progression of all the information all fits, all the evidence there that we need. And from what I've seen today, there's big gaps, Uni. There's big gaps in the evidence.
There is. Now, there's a reason for this. The packet of data that I was sent, that I used, was combined with the original video that was put out by Kelly and CW, right? In that original video, there were things shown on their screen that we don't have now, right? Because we did pull up their video. We did use it in going through. I did screen cap some of it, but I didn't get all of it, of course, right? And we are going off of Kelly, who, by the way, no offense, no one's throwing any shade anywhere, but Kelly was supposed to be going on other shows and being able to explain and answer questions fully to get further to the truth on it, right? Because we all just assumed, hey, Kelly's the whistleblower from here because she's got the proof. It's all good. Anyway, so what I'm trying to say here is there is a lot of stuff missing now because they deleted their video. Kelly and CW deleted the original Docscape video, but it didn't get deleted recently. It was deleted a long time ago. So this story's kind of sat in the wings, and it was re-looked at due to Emory Smith and Ryan's research, which was excellent and great. But also there are so many gaps that need to be brought up and closed in order for other people to feel comfortable coming to the conclusion that CW and Kelly came to, and of course all of us have invested in. So
yeah,
let's hope to get it, is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
soon,
so
like within 14 hours.
Yeah, 24 hours. You know? By this time tomorrow, you know, if somebody can get in touch with me, or if CW and yourself,
it'll be easy. Yeah, because literally they had it all in a pack. You get me? They all had it all like packed together. So it's not going to be something they got to dig for. It's not something anyone would delete, you know, because like I said, they planned on taking this to more channels.
Right? Because we know there's lawyers' letters flying about, allegedly. There's the law getting involved in this, you know. We see Jimmy Church the other night. Everyone was tuned in to Jimmy Church. No offense to Jimmy Church, because in between him promoting the show, where he said he would have a blue chicken bombshell, and the time of going to air, which was 24 hours, I believe, he received, or we're told he received, I've not seen it personally, maybe he has put it out there, you know, to verify this letter did arrive, I don't know. But he was given, or we are told he was given,
purple ducks,
thank you,
purple
DJ.
Ducks. Quack, quack, cow, #weed.
#weed, yes.
#weed.
Yeah, so because, like, we've got lawyers and things involved, Junie, I think this is why it's so imperative that we can get all of the information together, make sure all of our I's are dotted, our T's are crossed, because we need to make ourselves bulletproof here before we go any further, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, because I'll state this. So when we started this off with Kelly being who Kelly claimed to be, it's much more, and then having Kelly back herself up across other channels, other interviews, it would be perfectly acceptable. We get to ask the questions. We get to the bottom of it. But now that it's not that way, you know, we can't make an assumption based off of Kelly's words now. She's not the whistleblower that we can say she is. Insult whatsoever.
And Groovy Bean in the chat room. Groovy, thank you for the info. Groovy says Kelly came on Jay and I's show Reality Check, and she has the screenshots. They are also on PA. I'm not sure what PA is. So thanks for that, Groovy Bean. So that's the show that Kelly went on then, yeah.
Good. Because we've known she's gone on a couple for sure, yeah. And so anyway, best thing to do is to be able to hash it out, because there's, as it sits now, and I'll just go ahead and state it, we've got either that Jordan Sather and Corey Good were at the helm of the group, as we've been shown and as we think up to now, right? But without, you know, some more evidence, more of the screenshot, all of the screenshots, without everything there, you can't make that conclusion. And there's other stuff that we'll talk about later that, you know, draws very, very contrasting conclusions other than what I've just stated. So, you know, hashing it out will be the best thing, and letting everyone on the internet have it, even small channels, you know, like if a small channel wants to pull up all these screenshots and investigate it through themselves and show what conclusions they draw, that's the best thing, to let everybody look through it, draw their conclusion, and then, you know, be able to speak up and tell people, you know, hey, no, that's not right, because you haven't factored this in yet, or hey, okay, now I'll factor that in, and thanks, bro, but here, you take this too. So, you know, that crowdsourced verification that takes like a complex story with a lot of minds on it and gets to the truth really needs to happen now that this interest has been piqued by Emory Smith's statements.
Absolutely. So by this time tomorrow, hopefully we'll have that. Hopefully we'll have some more conclusive kind of stuff to bring you on this story. It could go one way or another, you know, because without that additional information, without the whole story, without that whole paper trail, it's a bit ambiguous. When I was looking at some of the stuff today, and I couldn't logically, and this is no offense to anyone, I'm not having a dig at CW, not having a dig at Kelly, nothing, but from what I seen, from what Uni got at the time, it's quite hard for me, and I think Uni, you might agree as well, to come to the logical conclusion that CW and Joe were targeted from what I seen in there. And again, I know that there's missing gaps, like you were saying in the video that disappeared and things, and that's the only reason that I'm putting this call out, to get all of the information together, not just for my kind of peace of mind or for Uni's peace of mind, but so that we can take this bigger, so we can really help to expose this if there's something to expose. And so that we expose the right people, Uni, right?
There you go, Kev. And it's a great way to say it, because honestly, regardless of what, you know, I think of CW or he thinks of me, we have the similar goal. I mean, I just looked at his channel yesterday, and he's still, you know, discussing everything amongst Corey and them in a heavy fashion, which is great, because, you know, we got to get the truth out. We got to get opinions out. We got to get facts out. So all of it's going great, regardless of the issues we all have. So, you know, in that interest, and in order to represent, you know, reality, represent what the truth is, you've stated it perfectly. It's in that way that takes out any drama, because that's the goal the whole time. I don't get how people don't see it, but takes out any drama, solves any channel to channel issues in a very professional way, and then has the end goal of not, you know, whether or not this person did it or that person did it, just the truth, the provable truth.
Exactly. And I've never claimed to be a researcher, Joe, or a journalist or anything like that.
No, whatever.
I'm a host, dude. So I'm not sitting here claiming to be some kind of journalistic Pulitzer Prize dude, right?
But the hostess with the most.
I've come to learn that you need to have everything there to back up the claims that you're making. And I'm just... It's not,
Kevin,
again,
if you claim to be a journalist, that's exactly right. It's very simple. In journalism school, they have two main rules, and as long as you follow these two main rules, you'll always be good. Number one, always follow the truth, because the truth is a story. So that's number one. If you can do that, great. Number two, don't enter into any entangling alliances that would prevent you from following rule number one.
There you go.
Yeah.
There's two. That's it. As long as you follow those two rules, you're fine. But you have to make sure that you do not bias yourself in any way. And in order to do that, you just don't get into any of this identity crap that we talk about and have been talking about ad nauseum lately. And rightfully so, because it really is becoming a problem where people feel safer in a group than they do alone. you know that doing this kind of stuff will feel isolating. It's extremely isolating. You're a black sheep, not only to your neighbors, to most people, but to your own family. And that's what really makes it hard, is when you, because of now your values, or your virtues rather, of what you think is right and wrong, your litmus test far surpasses that of anybody normally, so it has with me. That's it, for years and years, Kev. I mean, it's a horrifically isolating type of thing when you start.
Absolutely. I mean, myself and Scott today, we went to watch some video that Richard Dolan had put out. You see, this is the thing, right? I'm genuinely interested in UFOs. People can make of that what they will. I'm interested in if there's alien life out there. But it's got to the point, Scott, we're listening to some secret document that's getting read out by Richard Dolan. And you were spot on. You were spot on, because you're like that, Kev. How can we even believe any of this? We don't know what's real and what's not anymore, right?
No.
Exactly. I mean, that's the point we're at, where we have to question everything now. You know what I mean?
Because everybody's got documents.
Yeah, exactly. And so, in a way, I mean, we've kind of become like the debunkers of the bad actors within our realm.
And why is that? Why does that happen, guys? You know why that happens?
It has to. Yeah.
Yeah, because it has to happen.
You're not a researcher. You're not even paying attention to the subject if you're not fact checking the claims other people make. And you get me?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. Exactly. And
which we've been doing the whole time. You get me? But once it involves checking a whistleblower story against provable, pieces that they've spoken, it'll hurt feelings. It'll hurt followers, and that shouldn't be even a priority. It shouldn't even be a thing. These groups that have formed are the reason why people get their feelings hurt when the truth does come out, and why people refuse to accept, evidence and whatsoever. But then again, I have to state this too. Yeah. There's other reason. It's very complicated. That's all.
Very complicated indeed. Indeed it is. No, but in all honesty, a lot of people that choose to go down that road typically aren't doing so with the mindset of, I'm going to go debunk it. That's not what happens. Unless that's your stated goal. Like, there are some times where I do set out to debunk things only because that, to me, is the way I get to root cause or whatever the fastest. If I can get that way the fastest, then no problem. That's the way I'll go.
Well, the reason I'm in this mess is because I was trying to debunk myself. You get me? And I try to do that all the time. Because if you can debunk yourself, then you're on the wrong path. And really, it's just about confirmation.
That's cool, man. Yeah, that's kind of fact checking yourself is always good. And well, I certainly appreciate it, because there's certainly not enough of that going on. I saw, interestingly enough, when you talk about the SH incident, like that, for example, is a good example of how independent media and media in general shoot themselves in the foot by making matters worse, from nobody died to everything else. I live 45 minutes from there. And much like that, the nightclub down in Florida, where they say, oh, yeah, nobody died there. Yeah, people died there.
Yeah, they
did. Our friend lives a half an hour from there, did live a half an hour from there. It happened. These things happen. Was the cleanup shady? Yes, it was shady. There were shady circumstances involved. Absolutely.
And then you notice too, like in that situation, I did a show, like must have been a month or 2 months ago, and I went over the reasons why people believed that there was like an actor in an FBI suit and all this. And once you look into it, you notice it's provable one way or the other. It's definitely provable one way or the other.
You've got to.
That's what it is. People. Yeah, and people just were so quick to, because of the title of a YouTube video, and then a guy sitting there saying, look, this guy looks just like that guy. And it's like, yeah, but are they two different people or not? And then when you look, it's like, yeah, they're definitely two different. We've got them recorded back for 30 years on each side. How could they be the same person when they're, here and here back for the last 30 years making public appearances and photographs and videos? So, those things, that one instance that I just mentioned when it comes to the SH thing, literally changed 100,000 people's minds to go around and call it fake on YouTube and to harass people. So it's so crazy.
And then you have a group of people that everything's fake. Mm-hmm. And so so you have to me, it's like, not only is everything saturated, just so much stuff going out there in the webosphere, if you will, that you can't really, unless you at the very start of whatever you're going down or whatever you're reading, that you don't assign yourself filters, basically. Like you have to put filters in place, like when you're doing things, so you can stay focused. Because golly, man, it is horribly, I don't know, it's chaos. It really, truly is.
Just like you said when you read that paragraph.
That's right, organizing chaos. But that's what they do. So they know it's like that, and they try to organize it or steer people down whatever roads they want. And they know that all they got to do is make that nudge, that slight nudge, and they know how to nudge you, and it'll get you going. And that's what they do time after time after time, because it's true. If we had to go and verify whether something's safe to eat, whether something's safe to drink, whether this is true or not, whether this weighs that much or not, and you had to take all that time, add it to your day, it'd be impossible. And they know that. Yeah. So they take advantage of it just by little tiny here, there, little tiny nudges, and they take advantage of it. And they know. So, but that's the thing. When you talk about mass consumption, when you talk about the type of society we live in, those tiny little deviations add up to billions of dollars in sales, add up to swaying an election one way or another. It doesn't matter what it is. It's tremendous power. And they know it.
Yeah.
They know how to work it. They take advantage of it.
Well, and the thing is that now we're at a point to where anybody can implement those methods of propaganda, right?
Exactly what I was going to say,
yeah, down to just some guy sitting in his mom's basement. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to just be some government entity pumping propaganda out to everybody. It can be anybody on the internet can implement this kind of stuff and bait people in. And that's where we're at right now.
And that is significant because in the whole SH thing, one way that you find that it's not really that people sat down and attempted to, do this purposefully. What they did was try to sit down and take those little things that they knew were confusing and they knew were convoluted, and instead of researching it from an unbiased place, they leaned very heavily on it's fake, and they started there. And by the end of the one guy that made the video about the guy being a CIA agent, by the time he's done, so many people were already primed over. But do I think that guy was doing it to I think that guy believed what he was saying at first. And in the end, though, it was somebody else sees that and they say, holy shit, let's look for other things like what he found. And it's a chain reaction. Then these big places can feed off of it or even be trapped by it. I don't know how Jones, he's in deposition for this right now. And I don't know how he got the tip that this guy was an actor. He's the same guy as that dad, and they're acting. I don't know who brought that to him and convinced him. It seems like it was Halbig, but I can say this. It seems like when he was brought that info, it was either somebody purposely brought it to him to fool him or to set him up, or they brought it to him and then he was just caught up in that whole same thing. It's really strange.
Confirmation bias plays in as well, Uni.
There you go. There it is.
Everything that probably Jonesy had been looking at the time. And I was really shocked because I think it was Miles Power, is it? When you were playing that video by Miles. It was the first time I'd ever appreciated that this kind of thing where nobody, how can you say this without triggering algorithms? But the fact it was all fake.
We know what you're saying.
The numbers for that state didn't record the numbers for this event. But when you look further down the page, there was an asterisk that blatantly covered it. Yeah.
They purposely took it out because it was set to the federal level, so they took it out of the state's numbers. And then people said, well, it must be fake because they took it out. But it's on the piece of paper right below. And then you see, and what bugs me is you see that when they show it on the screen, they try to really quickly get it off the screen when those little things are there. So it almost makes me think they knew it was there.
Yeah.
But it was so viral, they had to make a decision. We've got this thing getting 3 million views right now. And back then, everything was monetized. This thing's getting 3 million views. Whoever did that video is just raking in the cash.
2 secs, guys. 2 secs. I want to give somebody a shout out. Maria.
Go ahead.
I think it's Maria. I'm just going to have a check here.
Okay.
Yeah, Maria. No message with it, but Maria, thank you for the PayPal there. The PayPal donos.
Speaking of that, let me just interject this real quick. We need 2 more subscribers. Count them. Two more members. 2 more members, and we get the Scotty Shrek thing. So that's going to be awesome, and then I can start letting that fly in the chat room. So
you
do me a solid, folks. We need 2 more.
You can get a little tease of the Scotty Shrek there. Look,
yes,
you can
Scotty
see it.
Shrek.
You can see it moving around.
Even more importantly, with Kev being knocked down for the count with his lungs being the issue, it makes it just that much more important that he does this stuff every day of the week for you peeps. I mean, he does it, and he does it just an unbelievable job. So I'm asking if you can send even £1 to old Kev via PayPal. The link's in the chat room. Go ahead and help out my buddy. He needs it, and we need him. It's a symbiosis. I think if the universe, if Kev Baker wants that, if anything happens to old Kev, what's going to end up happening? Yeah, we've got one more Roosevelt meeting. We need one left. That's all.
Everyone that's in the chat room right now. I truly use
Kev Baker. If he meets his demise, it means that the end has come.
But Roosevelt, and I'm sure Uni will back me up on this, as one of the people, along with Glow, who really helps kind of save a lot of time. That's the way I look at it.
And anybody that gives Kev even £1, it'll come back to you tenfold. That kindness is greatly appreciated, and certainly sorely needed.
And please sub to Roosevelt, because like I was saying, Glow too as well. These people, I don't know how they do it, but they're able to pick out all the cherries, all the golden nuggets. They put them in a nice little bundle, and it saves you going through hour upon hour of periscopes, live streams, things like that. And it condenses it into a really understandable and really impactful way that they do it. So, Scotty, I know you want to jump in here as well, man. And I love your picture, dude. That Shrek looks cool on you, man.
And all we need is one member more. And
I'm gonna hit the little boys room real fast, guys.
Nice.
Give me a second.
Uni was talking about, what may have nudged Jones in that direction, and got him into all of the hot water that he's in right now. And, he mentioned Halbig, which probably was a part of it. But remember, Jones used to have a certain person, a certain guy who was responsible for overthrowing governments and was a state spook.
If you're looking for somebody that was part of deep state shenanigans and stuff like that, Steve Pachesnik is who you're going after. You're Scott, isn't it?
Yes, Mr. Steve Pachesnik. And remember, Pachesnik would always come on and he would push the everything is fake thing on Jones's show, right? And I think he had a lot of influence on the decisions that Jones made as far as how serious Jones took him.
Play the trumpets. Shrek. Shrek is coming. I'm going to dive in right now. So in a couple of seconds, folks, I'll tell all of you members to refresh, and you will get
Shrek.
We got it.
Now, hang on, though. Hang on, though. Uni, I hope you shook your Wilcock.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh my God.
No more than twice.
Wait a minute. No, wait
More
a
than
minute.
twice you're playing with.
Who warned who about bad jokes?
The only type of joke I've got is a bad one, Joe. The only type. But yeah, no, Scott was making a good point about Pachesnik there, man.
I don't know if you guys, well, you guys were away, but I was, because Uni was talking about, what may have baited Jones into this whole thing, especially with like SH and all that. And I think, Hal Big was a part of it too. But I was mentioning, remember, he used to have Pachesnik on all the time. And if you want to talk about a shady character.
Oh, he's as shady as they come.
Yeah. And remember, he was supposedly involved in the State Department and, had all these, and he went on and he pushed the whole everything is fake thing on Jones's show all the time. And Jones really took him seriously, and, after all of this shit went down, you notice Pachesnik's not on Jones's show anymore. I haven't seen him on or heard him on Jones's show. Of course, I don't listen to Jones's show that often anymore, but it's almost like maybe Pachesnik went in there to purposefully do that,
There were several of them.
Yep.
Yeah, to bait him into that. And now you see the state that Jones is in because of it. And I remember, for years, Kev and Joe, we would always be talking about how shady Pachesnik was. We're like, this dude's a shady.
He's a shady bastard.
I mean, I've had ex-CIA people on the show as well, and you have to.
It's all bunkum.
But you have to say to yourself, well, you're never ex-CIA.
I was gonna say anybody that says that, you automatically know he's full of shit.
It's like a soldier,
Full of shit.
Yeah.
Yep. Because those that are don't talk about it.
And Shrek is live in the chat room. Shrek is live.
Woo!
Oh,
yeah. Bang.
Nice.
Yeah, man. So,
to add in there, just while we're on the topic, if you look up How Big, he's not what he says he was.
No, he's
makes
an asshole.
5 claims that are giant that really demand respect from people. He was in he helped lead the motorcade for MLK. He helped do all these things. You look into it, he wasn't even a police officer until 4 years after that motorcade. Doesn't even make sense. He was this excellent investigator. He investigated 200 homicides and he was on scene, but no, he wasn't. He was a traffic cop and he didn't make it out of his first prelim. He got fired and let go before he even gotten full on the scene. So everything he did was under the guise of training, and then he didn't even make it off. So you take that and then look at his internet presence. How many people sent him money back then? He probably made $1 million in a year.
Betcha.
Yep.
And then you say to yourself, well, why did he lie about all that? Why didn't he just keep it real? Why didn't he just keep it real if he's going to take people's money to investigate this?
Because he took people's money. That's the whole game. That's the whole goal.
And there's a guy named Matt Couch that's doing exactly what How Big did to the T by using Seth Rich's name. And even though the family contacted him personally and said, if you want to do this, stop taking money. Don't take money in our kid's name. That was 1.5 years ago, and he's still taking money in that kid's name. A lot. More than we all make.
And recently as well, we had a famous kind of, not famous, but somebody who really burst onto the internet. Somebody called Isaac Cappy. And he unfortunately passed away. He took his own life not long ago. I know there's a bit of mystery surrounding that, Uni, but the point I want to make is you get people on YouTube determined to come up with the most outrageous kind of theories ever, just in the name of making cash off the back of it. It's sick, dude.
You don't even want to hear my unified theory of Cappy. Like, I have a complete theory about this guy. I won't go into it, of course, because it's like a 10-minute talk, but it's a big one, and it makes so much sense, way more sense than what anyone else has said about it. I did it on Periscope 2 days ago.
I will need to go and check that one out. But Joe, there's something I know you want to bring up, because this involves another scam that's been pushed on YouTube as well, right? This whole
let's see. Let me pull up the grab bag and see what we got here.
Well, you've got you've got that story about the hotel, the 3 couples, was it not?
Oh yeah.
Drop
okay,
me
so
that.
the Holy Sacrament.
Yeah, drop me that on Facebook, Joe, so I can bring it up for people.
Let me see if I could find that. Oh, right here. It's a Fox News one I sent you, Kev. It's in it's Facebook.
You guys need to get a Discord, man. You can drop all that in Discord and
What
be
the
in
hell is that
room.
Discord shit, Uni?
You'll have a room for your live show, and then all those articles can go in there, so you can just scroll down it and make things real easy for you.
I know. See, have you dropped it, Joe?
I'm dropping it. Dropping it.
There we go.
And
okay,
did you know they just added a high def video feed exactly like Skype to Discord? Exactly the same.
I did.
Okay,
Nice.
I'll stop chilling for Discord now.
Wow.
Don't worry, dude. I shill for D-Wave.
Chilling like a villain.
Wow. Says New York woman claims she drank soda bottle filled with bleach at the same Dominican resort where 3 Americans have also died. And like I said, the interesting thing about this is Dominican Republic is very known for their fringe religious stuff. Like Santeria is huge down there. And also, like the whole voodoo thing and the whatever the heck. I can't remember what they call the the bleach drinkers. MMS, right? So MMS. Well, these couples that went down there and the people that died of respiratory failure. And listen to this. It says a New York woman claimed a soda bottle filled with bleach left her ill and bleeding at the same troubled Dominican Republic resort, where at least 3 U.S. tourists had died suddenly in their rooms. The incident allegedly occurred at the Grand Bahia Principe Resort in La Romana back in October 2018 and follows a series of allegations against the resort. Awilda Montez, 43, told Fox News that after checking into a luxury room at the resort, she drank a bottle of soda from the minibar that turned out to be bleach. I was rushed to the medic and I was given an IV, she said, and had chemical burns throughout my mouth. The hotel said they were investigating the accident and offered Montez a free couples massage. In exchange,
that's one expensive massage there.
In exchange for her silence and releasing them from any liability. Of course, she says, I refused because
How about 50 thou instead?
Yeah, exactly. Because I honestly didn't know if I'd have any issues once I got home. She said, saying a message to Fox News that she had documentation from the doctor I saw when I drank the bleach. So the resort won't respond to comment, of course. Now, Miranda Shop Werner of Allentown, Pennsylvania, collapsed and died on May 25th after having a drink from her room's minibar. 5 days later, on May 30th, a Maryland couple, Edward Holmes and Cynthia Day, were found dead in their room. Now, this week, a Colorado couple announced they had filed a lawsuit in the Dominican Republic against Bahia Principe Resort Group, alleging they fell ill because of pesticides while staying at one of the chain's properties last year. The couple, Kaylin Null and Tom Schwander, said that they stayed there and the same hotel where the Maryland couple died in their room. Now, Null says, I honestly believe the truth needs to be told. This sounds way too similar at the same resort. Meanwhile, Montez said that while she tried to get a lawyer, she's had no luck. She thought it could be the work of maybe a disgruntled employee of the resort. Yeah, right. There are times that you're on vacation and you're lying out on the beach and you ask workers to bring you something, she said, and there's a lot of poor people working in the country and they're watching people day in and day out who are enjoying their lives while they don't enjoy their own. See, this is what I think is going on, is that you have this MMR cult that's going. MMR, Jesus Christ. And
a vaccine cult.
They do their little ritual and they drink their sacrament or whatever. And this is like one of those byproducts. Now, I can't say for sure. I'm only speculating. Typically, people will go to these countries, Uni, to do this because they can't do it in the United States. You know?
Do you think like that the MMS cult, they literally do worship MMS? Mm-hmm. It is a religion and they do pray and stuff to it. You think they look at it like if we kill somebody with it, their soul goes to the MMS gods, like, they get points with the MMS god, like, good job, hey, In the afterlife, you get like 5 virgins for killing somebody with bleach. You know what I'm saying? Like something crazy like that.
That's what the brain is saying that right now. I'm getting a download right now, and basically she's agreeing with you, Uni, and saying, it's a human sacrifice. Mm-hmm. You could look at it that way, and perhaps there's some sort of entity or some sort of or maybe there's some sort of understanding that perhaps there's an energy release, or like you say, something that has to do with the soul, or like maybe even Jonestown. Drink this, or we've reached that point and we're drinking this and we're checking out. We're going.
So I got attacked. On you go, Scott.
Well, I mean, I haven't looked into this whole MMS thing. I've just kind of gathered from what you guys have been saying. So it really is like this cult thing.
It's a religion, yeah.
And this is what I was going to ask as well.
Tax exempt, everything.
Yeah, I was going to ask because I got attacked by one of Satherino's loyal followers.
Lee Veltman in the chat room just said MMS and GC Math and the anti-vaxxer cult is Sather. Y'all don't know how big the New Age Blue Avian cult really is.
Oh, we got an idea.
So what does MMS stand for? What's an
Miracle Mineral Solution?
Ooh,
I wasn't.
Ooh, it sounds so good.
Yeah, I wasn't aware that bleach was just a mineral.
Well, it's a certain type of bleach, and what they do is they give you sodium chloride, and then in the other thing is a citric acid activator, and when you combine them together, it activates the bleach. And anyway, long chemical description I won't go into, but yeah, that's how they give it to people.
But I mean, there's actually a YouTuber out there. His name is Miles Power. I seen you first playing this dude, Uni, and he actually, now correct me if I'm wrong, but he actually ordered some of the same stuff that gets pushed online.
Exact stuff.
And he tested it, and it is the same as bleach. It's just bleach.
It is. It's just bleach.
It just ate right through. It bleached. It literally bleached the clothing. You put a couple drops, bleached the clothing, and I don't see how people don't think, if I put that down my mouth hole, something will happen to my stuff. And I don't get how people don't get it. You want to know the worst thing? You guys might not know this. So one of Jordan Sather's biggest reasons that I made a video, Jordan Sather is dangerous now, or getting dangerous, or has become. Jordan Sather's become dangerous is because he not only pushes this, but he went to the Autism 1. Now there's this huge presence of these guys pushing this to parents of autistic kids and telling them, and I swear to you, you can look this up. You can see that it is 100% documented and real. These people give this solution in enema form to kids, 5-year-olds, 7-year-olds, 8-year-olds that have autism. And many of those kids, I think there are like X amount of confirmed cases, and they have like medically confirmed pictures, documentation that shows they had to have complete colonoscopies after the enemas.
I mean, at a minimum, that's just all a colonoscopy is going to do is just shove a camera up there. But I'm saying
I'm sorry, no, I didn't. I say that wrong. They had the colon removed. What's that called?
Right. Colostomy bag. You have to have a colostomy bag.
Colostomy bag. That's what I meant to say. Yeah, they had to have their
Lord Jesus. That is what
we're talking about. Autistic kids. So these kids are already have issues. They already outbursts.
What this speaks of to me, honestly, if I look at that speaks of one of the root causes that we're in a lot of the mess that we're in is the deep-rooted selfishness that drives all things human, especially now in this day and age, because, like I said, that mentality, that the consumer's desires-based type of mentality that they push centers around being self-centered, the lust of after material things and lust after the flesh and all that. So that's huge, because if they can get people to do that, then they can push that type of behavior. And think about that. My autistic kid's such a pain in the ass that I would resort. I'm that desperate, or I'm that selfish, that I would put bleach up my autistic kid's ass.
Now listen to this. One of the other parents. Now it was a group for autistic kids on Facebook.
Just so you know, I have 2 autistic children. You know,
There
I
you
would
go,
never
yeah.
in a billion freaking
Well,
years.
And before
You yourself,
before,
let me ask you then. If you were given this and you were told that it would help your autistic child, you'd probably
I would
do
say,
it
first of
before
all,
you'd give it to your kid, right?
bullshit. That would be,
Yeah.
right. The first thing I would say is bullshit. And the second thing is I would read it to see just what level of bullshit I'm dealing with before I shove the book up that person's ass that gave it to me.
do you know what
Yeah,
makes this
but like
problem
if
worse?
you did make the decision to give it, some medicine to your kid, I mean, before you would even give
I
it to your
always
kid, you'd at
research.
least do it yourself,
Yeah.
and you research it.
And do you know what makes
Always.
this worse, guys? I think it's this thing that we've got now in the world with so many people, and it is just a 100% distrust in anything coming from the scientific community. And that's what's led to things like flat Earth being out there as well. Nothing against you if you're a flat earther, but it's just this distrust that anything we're told from anyone in officialdom, it must be false, it must be true. It must be false. So we start looking for these authorities on the internet that have got these miracle cures, these alternative ideas for anything that's put out there by the medical field, by scientists. And that leads to things like this,
Well, and another thing, it's like I said the other day, it's crap like this whole MMS thing, that then they use that as a pretext to roll up anybody that is pushing actual legit alternative methods like, holistic medicine and herbal cures and stuff that isn't dangerous, but maybe an alternative to, established medicine or whatever. It's this crap. They're going to point to these MMS people and be like, look, these crazy fuckers are, putting bleach in people and telling people to drink bleach and all this stuff. And so, anything that, anything related to that, well, not even related. I'm just saying, they're using it as a pretext to go after everybody.
Yep.
That's what's happening. And, these people that we're talking about that are pushing bullshit, they're using them as the pretext to go after everyone. That's why we're seeing this YouTube purge right now.
You see, I had Ike on the show recently, and he was talking about something that's really key to this, right? We're getting feedback, but it's away now. He says, if you know the outcome, you can see the journey, right? And we know that they want to restrict speech. We know that they want to clamp down on YouTube and other platforms. And that's why I think, in my personal opinion, my speculation, you guys can comment on this, but I think that's why the algorithm pushes this kind of thing right now, because eventually they're going to use this and they'll be able to rightly say, look how dangerous these people are. They're literally telling you to drink bleach.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
You're right.
Yes, exactly. And so, it's like I said, it's like the flat earth stuff, and I don't hate people that are into flat earth, but it's a psyop, man, and they're using that shit to go after people that are genuinely questioning things that need to be questioned. Right. And they use the flat earth thing as like the straw man. Right. So say you question that there is an event, that there are questions that need to be asked, that there are legit shady things that need to be looked into. Well, if you start asking questions, what's the immediate thing that they do? They go, oh, you're questioning that. Well, you probably think the earth is flat. You see how that works?
Yep.
And so I think these more outrageous things, are intentionally put there as a way to demonize everybody that may be questioning something, that may be actually looking for the truth on something. And then they can point to these more radical, out there, just batshit crazy things as a way to silence everyone.
No, you're absolutely right, dude. You're absolutely right. We've almost been here about 2 hours now. So, Uni, I want to get you into some of the good stuff, man. Because people might have this impression that you're just a debunker. You're just somebody that's out there and amongst all this drama. And that couldn't be further from the truth, because when you look back at your kind of earlier work and things, you like a good mystery. You like a good kind of conspiracy, right? But the UFO
I got some
thing,
good stuff.
I mean, the UFO thing, a lot of talk about UFOs right now in the news, stuff like that. Away from the whole chicken cult and things, we've got the Pentagon, they're talking about them, confirming the kind of stuff that we've all been speculating about for years. You yourself, I think I heard you one time saying you had seen something that you couldn't identify in the sky. So
I've got two sightings.
So tell us about one of your sightings, and then give us your take on why you think UFO information is now, as opposed to the X-Files music playing on Fox News and things, they're taking it a whole lot more seriously. It's as if there's been a whole attitude change, dude. What's your thoughts on it, Uni?
Oh, yeah, and let me preface this with, if you didn't know, To the Stars Academy just came out with a new show that airs after Ancient Aliens called Unidentified.
Yep.
And the second episode just came out, to a lot of people's surprise, and it's a big thing in the ufology community right now, and we've been tracking it, and we're working on videos for it, because Tom DeLonge admitted that he's working with the United States government to do what he's doing.
And
so a lot of people are...
Yeah, if you look at the board, Uni, on To the Stars Academy, you've got ex-CIA, you've got ex-Department of Defense, you've got like military-industrial complex companies in there. And I don't know, I think this is my opinion, my kind of speculation, but I think they took Tom DeLonge, somebody who's always spoke about UFOs long before these characters approached him, and they thought, there's a good face, a good front man, like a good front man for the band, a good front man for this story that they're pushing right now. But why do you think...
Which is... Oh, go ahead.
No, that's what I was going to ask you. Do you think it's genuine? Are they lying to us? What's the bigger game here, man?
Well, Tom DeLonge, and then I'll go into my thing, my sighting and what I think too there. Tom DeLonge, actually, in my opinion, is exactly like, he's a big face that will unite many people together, because Blink-182 was absolutely huge. They weren't just punk rock. They weren't just alternative rock. They were mainstream pop rock also. Unites millions of people that look at Tom DeLonge and, everyone can say, I like that one song from him, because they're so poppy. They're so, normal. Then, you even get some of the fringe people behind him. Now, he definitely is being put up front of this with only 3 sightings. And what he does is recycle those sightings over and over and over and over again. And they've also shared, I think, 8 fake sightings, and that's why they only stick with those 3. They're making huge deals out of those 3, but they combine trusting that the government's been looking at UFOs this whole time. It's more of a ufology that trusts the government, when that should not happen in ufology if you look at the entire picture. So I do think that's what Tom DeLonge's in there for, honestly. He's there to gain trust and then point people towards it. You can trust government sources on UFOs. It's Tom. He's bringing them to you. So, people will hate me for saying that, but I guarantee you that if you just keep your eyes open and listen, you'll feel it.
You're on the same song sheet that we've been on the whole time, man. Yep.
Spot on.
Yeah.
Me and Kev have been saying the same thing for quite a while. When all of this
have.
Yep. When all of this stuff popped off and mainstream media started pushing the whole Pentagon thing, looking into
Admits
UFOs.
to this. And, Admits they've always looked into it. Oh, that's what we've been saying for 50 years.
Exactly.
Thanks for letting us know, Tom, and taking credit for it. It's like that type of thing. Like David Wilcock. He came out and told us that, the moon thing with David, Yeah,
and don't let the confirmation bias blind you to the fact that government lie about everything, folks. Everything. But you need to tell us about your experience then, man.
Oh, God, I don't know if you want to hear it. It's insane. So back when I was younger, maybe 14 or something, I used to go to Boy Scouts all the time. And one of the guys there had always been looked at as a really weird guy. And I was really good friends with everybody. I don't give a shit if you were super weird. Same way I am on YouTube. I get along with everybody other than, fakers and shit. I was like that in real life. Like I hung out with the cheerleaders, the jocks. I hung out with the punk rockers, the nerds, whatever. So I'm good friends with this guy. We go to this Boy Scout camp way out in the middle of the woods, and we're basically like about to get in the tent. And as I'm walking up to I'm not going to go into full detail, but as I'm walking up to the tent, I see these lights coming through the woods. Now, God knows, I thought they were like, really powerful lights that like an adult had, maybe like carrying around a stick with some big lamp on it, because they were kind of high up and they were real bright. And I go up to the tent and I notice that the tent's completely caved in on itself. The poles that hold it up are there, but the things that connect it on the end aren't, so it's caved in. And this guy comes out, and he's someone I've known since I was 5. anyway, he tells me that he's been abducted by aliens his whole life. He comes out looking pale as a horse, and he's weak, he's shaky. Wasn't like that though, like, you know, earlier, like just an hour earlier. But anyway, we take a walk, and for hours he's telling me how he's been abducted, and how, I mean, he gives me every detail. I couldn't even go into it. Like, it would just hours and hours of this guy.
So are we talking about an abduction here? Are we talking about an abduction here?
Yeah, that's his claim. Yeah.
Wow, man.
Now, so he tells me everything. I told this story like years ago on my channel too, but he tells me everything about how, now this is before the internet. Like when the internet was out, you could find some UFO websites, but they took 5 minutes to load.
Yeah,
you know
right.
what I'm saying? You'd get one paragraph. You got to wait 5 minutes to read a paragraph. You got to wait 10 minutes to see a picture. And if you see any video, there's like a 4-second video or something with no sound. Anything you saw was in a library. Anything you saw was read about from some book in the library. And it was really strange. He tells me all this stuff. Now, I've already told everybody I knew about this back then. You get me? Like my brother, my mom, everybody I know. So like, it's always been this thing we've talked about, because his entire narrative of abduction is what we end up learning about and seeing every time we get another piece or another person telling an abduction story or watching Ancient Aliens or something. We're like, he told us that in 1992. It's like insane, right? But anyway, so I have two other sightings that aren't as good, but we're driving in a car and I see this like gray tic tac looking thing float through the air, and we think it's a blimp, but it's shiny. It doesn't look like a blimp. Anyway, we get to work. So the next day I'm looking everywhere to find out if there was a blimp in the area, because we would be able to find out. Blimps just I haven't seen a single blimp in that area my whole life. Looked like a blimp, but it was super fast. So I've seen some things, get me? Other thing is, you ever seen those people with the night vision goggles that look up and they find these weird triangles that don't look like planes? They have a lot of lights going down and they're way big, and then they turn and stuff. I saw something like that, a triangle like that up in the sky. I didn't. My friend did, and I was with him. And anyway, there was the other really good sighting. Okay, me and my wife, when we were together on the military base, we're driving up a highway, and we look to the left, and we see a triangle, and it looked exactly like what they call a TR-3B, right?
Yeah.
But it's floating. It's not flying. And then the middle light, you know, TR-3Bs always have like 3 orange lights, and in the middle there's like a red light. It looks like there's this like mist or beam coming down from the middle. And we're like, what? And everyone starts pulling over. We pull over. We get out of our car. We eventually try to grab something. I think we had cameras back then. I don't think cell phones had cameras. They had really shitty cameras back then, but we didn't get to take a picture. But the interesting thing, I got to talk to other soldiers that were outside, and they were like, we were all like, what the fuck? And it could have been a military craft. You get me? Maybe there's some weird military craft down there that we don't know about. So yeah, those are all the sightings I've had. But I've been a big into ufology, mostly because of the story. I did follow it beforehand. Remember Unsolved Mysteries? You know, when we were super little, you could always watch Unsolved Mysteries, and every once in a while you get lucky and they'd have something about aliens on that sucker. That's like the first TV show doing that shit, you know? Always been into it, always loved it. It's always been a passion of mine. So,
no, same here, dude. Same. I love the whole UFO thing, and the TR-3B. One of the kind of most famous ones. It's a picture from Belgium, and it's a brilliant shot of this thing. It was the first one that had ever been captured. But then the guy who made that fake came out and explained how he done it. And still to this day, despite the fact the guy came out and showed everyone how he done it, it still gets pushed online. And I get some people might not have seen the debunk by the guy himself, the actual photographer. It wasn't even that hard for him to do. Now, I'm not saying the TR-3B doesn't exist, because there's been numerous triangle kind of things seen. I think 90% of the stuff, Uni's probably ours. We just don't know about it. But
yeah,
even if it's just 1% that's unexplained and not from human hands, that's enough to confirm the fact that there is something out there.
There is. Now, whether or not, now that's how I feel about the alien question. The big thing you can ask anyone: do you believe in aliens, UFOs? I know for a fact that they are in the sky. and I know for a fact something's piloting them or inside them. It's just a truth. It's just there. You can't deny it. But whether or not it's human beings in it, whether or not another country has developed some advanced thing that we don't know about yet, whether, oh shit, you got me dinner. I love you.
Oh, you're going to make me hungry now, man.
You know how you get to a Unirock's heart? You feed the man. That's all you got to do. Grab that. That's all you got to do, because I forget to eat, bro. I get editing a video, I won't eat for 16 hours. Do you wash it down with
MMS? Do you wash it down with MMS, Uni?
Every night. Every night I take. I'm just kidding. Of course, I'd never touch that shit. But the alien question, I am spiritual now. I wasn't. I was an atheist. I was a Christian with my family until I was at the age of 15. I became a rebellious, smart guy. I was smart, you know. I went to college. I was an atheist then. And then I had a lot of things happen in my life when I got deployed, when I was in the military afterwards, that really showed me that, especially just a lot of meeting people, talking with really, really spiritual people from across the world that weren't locked into a book, which I am. I'm a Christian now, and I follow the Bible, just in case anybody wants to know, because I get asked that all the time. But I respect anyone's religion. Even if you're an atheist, I respect you. I get along with everybody there. As long as your religion doesn't hurt someone else. MMS religion, okay? You get me? But anyway, long story short, I do believe that we most likely are not, and this is crazy coming from me, okay? But if you're asking me off my show, if you're asking me not logically, what do I feel inside? I believe that we aren't facing something that is in this world, because I've also witnessed and have video and know people that have seen these things, and they aren't bound to physics. And everything in this universe is bound to physics except for a couple things, which I see it as our souls, who we are inside, and then, you know, what the hell ever it is, and pure evil and pure just, you know, these that's what my Two Real series was about on my main channel, you know. But anyway, I'll stop blabbing. I'm taking up too much time. I'm talking my ass off. But also, whatever it is that we're seeing in the sky, in my opinion, has a high likelihood of not being from this dimension. It's just like it was listed in not the Bible, but every ancient book. So.
And Joe, Scott's got his little UFO story to tell. But Uni, I'm the same as you. I came from the place of pure atheism. I thought I knew it all. Science could explain it all. Then I met Joe Joseph. and between the two of us, we came together and we met in the middle. I'm more religious now. Joe's more scientific. So, yeah, it's a crazy story. But, Scott, come on, man. I want to hear a story of you and your mum.
Well, I mean, first of all, I have to say I agree with Uni. You know, I think I'm the first to really propose that almost the exact same thing on your show, Kev, where I asked the question of, you know, UFOs. Why do we just automatically assume that they're aliens from other planets? Why can't UFOs be something that's supernatural? You know, and
or even government, maybe just other human. You know.
Well, yeah, I think a lot of the UFO sightings are black project government.
But let's take out the human excuse, because I want to hear what you think when it comes to, you know, outside the human realm. What could it be if it's not human beings?
Well, I think we're looking at angels and demons and whatever is you know, beyond this realm. And you notice that a lot of these UFO sightings occur over, like, look, for example, Mexico or South America. We're talking about countries that are very superstitious and spiritual, and I think there's a lot of power in people that have those beliefs, that kind of stuff manifesting over them, right? So I mean, you look at the United States, we're a very atheistic country. You know, a lot of people here don't believe in the supernatural, and so they
polarized too. Yeah, extremely polarized.
Yeah. So I think a lot of people in this country have the blinders pulled over, and they just don't see things like that. You know, and so you know, there's so much to kind of get into with it, but I totally agree with Uni on this. I think we're looking at some kind of interdimensional aspect to this, something that is beyond the realm of where we live, you know, where we reside, you know, stuff blipping in and out of existence. That's just that's just my thoughts on it, you know. And, you know, it was the same way with me. You know, was that rebellious young guy, and I was an atheist at one point, and a lot of things happened since then, and I'm a spiritual person, and so I think there's a lot to this. And going into a couple of experiences, I had an experience probably around the same age that Uni was, around 14, something like that. I saw a glowing orange orb hovering above the horizon, when I lived in Wichita, Kansas. And
you see, Scott, something like that is not military for me. Do you know what I mean?
No, it wasn't, and it was very, very strange. And the first thing that popped in my head when I was watching it, because it was in the night, I was sitting in the car. My mom was, I think we went to my uncle's or something. She just was going to run inside and get something, and this all occurred while I was just sitting in the car. And I was like, "What the hell is that?" And it wasn't moving; it was just kind of hovering in place, and it was about the size of the moon, like to the naked eye, and it was just like really, really bizarre. And the first thing that popped in my mind is, like Uni said, Unsolved Mysteries, because I was big into that show. Robert Stack coming on, and that's where I first heard about Roswell and all that stuff. And I'm sitting here thinking, I'm like 14 years old. I'm like, holy shit! I'm like, it's happening to me. Oh my God! It's so.
IP47.
That my first experience. And then, my second experience was here where I live right now.
Every time I see Robert Stack there, dude, all I can think of is that airplane scene where he's driving to the airport and shit. And it's going all over the place, Wild West and shit. That's every time I see him. That's all I could think of.
So my second experience was it was the 4th of July, and we saw these. Once again, it was like orange orbs, but they were much smaller. And there's a lake that's by where we live, and it's south of us. And these orbs were moving from the direction of the lake towards kind of our direction, from south to north. And I was like, wow, that's weird. And we were trying to come up with explanations. We're like, okay, well, sometimes they launch lanterns from the lake, during the, but the problem with that is that they were moving against the wind. So the wind was blowing from north to south, and these things were traveling from south to north. And if you're just launching lanterns, they're going to go whichever way the wind is going to push them. So that was kind of an immediate, something is, going on here. And it was weird. We tried to get a picture of it, but by the time we scrambled and got the phone and all that, they weren't curses. And then my mom and my brother have witnessed the infamous triangle with translucent wings in the night fly over, where you could see it was a triangle-shaped object, but you could also see that the stars and stuff showing up through the wings, like a translucent,
like the Predator effect, Scotty.
Yeah. Well, the F-35 has the light bending paint.
Well, before we get going, because we've taken up 2 hours now, and I know Uni's probably going to be streaming tonight as well. Addict Uni. I'll tell you something that backs up the whole demonic thing for me, right? See, when you hear about, Uni was talking there about abductions, and you hear some of the testimony of some of the people that claim to have been abducted. Now, that's pure evil shit right there, dude. Some of that stuff that's going on. And I'm not saying all of these people that come forward claiming these are true. And again, just takes one to be true. But that, for me, is coming from a place of pure evil when you're getting, Satherino rectum probes and things like that, and cutting up cows. And it's just, it's nothing. I don't think it's anything from this world. That's the point I want to make there, Joe. And before we wrap up, I was going to ask you, Joe, what's your thoughts on the whole UFOs, man? Any experiences when you were out in the ship?
Well, no, not so much. I sent a lecture by John Lennox to Uni here in the chat room, Kev, because if anybody can articulate how important it was in my journey to incorporate science into the whole thing, it's that lecture right there. Because what he articulates that I think a lot of people have so much issue with, and is really the crux of the argument whenever you talk about atheists versus those who embrace spirituality, is the science versus spirituality argument. And he breaks it down, simply put, science and spirituality do not compete, they complement.
Mm-hmm.
And we're taught from the very earliest ages that they don't, that they compete, and that's wrong. So he lays it out and makes a case in that lecture, and it's brilliant. No one,
I'll definitely check it out.
I have never heard anybody lay it out kind of like him, and he's an old codger. He's got a lot of old school influences that I think really enrich his ability to logically think things through. Plus, he's an Oxford mathematician, so he's got a brain, So that's
and yeah, Einstein. All the ancient philosophers, all the old philosophers, they believed that there was a God, and they were full belief of physics and all these different things. And I think that was expected a long time ago. It was just normal. It was because it's a logical thing. And when you look at us and you say to yourself, I'm very smart, and I believe that out of nowhere, cells organized together and eventually evolved into human beings. And you can't tell yourself that that's not normal, that that's not natural for this universe, then there's a problem. The natural part of this universe, in my opinion, is just an empty universe with cells bouncing, these molecules bouncing around. It's not the things that can, just the sheer fact that gravity exists. It's like the clue to God, because it pulls together the stars, it pulls together the planets that eventually pull us together. So anyway, that's all I wanted to add in.
Yeah, cool. And of course, everybody else that listens to this stream kind of knows where I stand. So with that said, I think it's time to wrap it up. So
Uni, what have you got planned for streaming tonight, dude?
I'm going to go into a little bit of I want people to know that I'm not just hating, you get me, on anyone, Kelly or CW, because I know there's a little bit of contention there due to inter-channel business, but that has nothing to do with what we do outside the spectrum. So I want people to know, so I'm going to show them the proof.
I want to highlight something else, too, because this is a byproduct of all this tomfoolery, Kev. What a waste of time and resources to have to explain yourself.
Exactly.
What a effing waste of time and resources.
Especially when you see Uni editing videos and some of his documentary type things he's put together. Yeah. Some of the stuff we could be getting from him. I can't wait till we see the back of this shit and we can get Uni back into making his good stuff, man. But Uni, I want to thank you for joining us tonight, dude.
Thank you for hanging out with us tonight, Uni. It's great to meet you. And, of course, you're always welcome here on Kev Baker's YouTube channel, because that's how I roll, is I invite everybody on. That's totally not my own.
Uni knows.
No, I'd like to talk more. I'd like to have you guys over to my place, too. Definitely.
Oh, excellent. We'd love to. We crash it pretty hard, though, so just be aware. You're probably going to have to paint the place, and the smell of urine. Oh, it's bad.
It truly is a deck at times.
You guys are welcome to stop in tonight. Anyone that's not busy, we'll figure that out too later.
What time are you doing it?
I'm the type of guy that goes live. So
you don't really have a time?
I just immediately go live and then hang out live.
He just does it impromptu, man. He does it on the fly.
Very nice. Very nice.
I just go, bro.
So I want to give a big shout out to everyone that's tuned in for this today. Big shout out to
thanks also to everybody that helped.
Absolutely.
To the Kev Baker cause.
And again, if you do want to support the stream, and as Uni always says, and I back up thoroughly, I'm not going to save the world. I ain't going to give you the major scoop that's going to answer all of your questions. What you see is what you get. If you like it, and if you can, only if you can, then drop us a PayPal, join the channel. Plenty of links in the description. And if you don't, that's okay, because we'll still be here every weekend. And tomorrow, Joe, did you tell me that the bearded wonder will be back on with us?
He anticipates that he might be able to join audio only, as he's in transition right now. Cool. He has sold his house and is waiting to move into the new one. In the meantime, Airbnb, but there's a caveat. When he moves into the new house, Kev, He will be in the same position that I was down in North
Hamsters.
Carolina, only his internet was worse. It's going to be worse than mine was down there.
It's not my
Remember?
350 megabit smart city kind of
Four.
internet.
Four.
Uni, what kind of speed do you kind of jam in there, Uni?
350 download, 20 megabit upload.
Same here, dude. Same here. Yeah.
Same here. But poor Popeye, 4 and 0.5.
Oh, my.
Who are we talking about? I don't know who we're talking about. Who
Oh,
is it?
dude, Popeye. Hang
He's a
on.
legend.
I'll bring up his YouTube channel. And a lot of new listeners, they've never known about Popeye, but Popeye's
Yeah, he's kind of like the Unirock 10 years ago is what he was.
He's got a show, or he used to have a show called Down the Rabbit Hole. DTRH.
Yeah,
And
so
Down the rabbit hole.
Yeah.
There's a
Not
not
the flat Earth one.
Not the flat Earth one. Not down.
no. There's another one down the. You don't know about Frederick Nudson's channel?
No.
Down the rabbit hole. Huge, 800,000 million subscribers. Like best documentary series on the internet.
yeah, if you add up all of Popeye's subscribers over his 9,000 YouTube channels that got shut down, you'd probably have around that.
Over his 9,000 YouTube.
Jesus
channel.
Christ, he was always having to do that. It was
Trying to
awful.
think, yeah.
I need to talk to this guy, man.
Oh,
He sounds
you would
cool
love
as
him.
hell.
Oh,
Popeye.
yeah. You'll definitely get to enjoy Popeye and all his majesty.
Hang on, Uni. No. Well, maybe yes, because I'll let you in on a little secret. And
Go ahead,
Popeye was
go ahead.
pissing himself laughing at this when I outed him for it. You know how you done a show about the Moab, the mother of all beans?
Oh yeah.
Well, it turns out that Popeye is the father of all beans because way before Tracy Beans was ever known on the internet, she was part of We Are Change New York.
Yeah.
And the thing is, she wasn't very kind of good. She wasn't very savvy at doing the videos or social media. And Popeye, our good friend Popeye, took her under his wing. And
No
taught her,
fucking way, bro.
Taught her all,
yeah.
way, dude.
I
way.
need to interview this Popeye guy right now. Go get him right now. Bring him to me. I'm just kidding.
No,
I do want to talk to him.
Yeah, so that's the kind of really kind of weird
Small world.
Yeah, small world, dude. Small world altogether, you know.
I got so many questions.
Well, see, Popeye, myself, Popeye, Radowski, all of that. It's just we were all old school, kind of rolling together back in the day.
Well, shit, dude. You should have told me that. I want to grill you over Radowski now because I've got interaction with that channel. They like fucking with me a lot.
Oh, okay.
Well, here's Popeye here. I'll show,
Not in a
I'll
bad
show you
way,
what
not
he
in a
looks
bad
like.
way. We'll talk.
There he
Kind
is
of a
there.
bad way.
There he is there with our good friends Aaron and Melissa.
that was pre Amish beard. Pre Amish beard.
All right.
Yes.
Yeah,
He's gone full Hebe on me.
And
So-
you would like him. You would like
Popeye,
him.
if you're listening,
Very logical. Very logical indeed. You would definitely like his show. And if you go to federaljack.com, he
That's
has
his
got
website.
thousands of hours of interviews that he's done. He's had Jim Mars, you know, all the
Yeah,
good ones on there.
Oh no way! You talked
Yeah.
to Mars?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
dude.
They were best buds.
Yeah.
All right.
I'll-
Popeye, if you can hear me, get a hold of
Oh,
me, bro. Get on my show, bro. Come on.
I'll get it.
Popeye.
I'll bring up Federal Jack just before we go, just so you can see it.
I talked to him today, by the way, Kev. That's how I know he's in transition, and I invited him tomorrow. By the way, Uni, if you want to come on tomorrow night, you can come on tomorrow because he'll be here.
Yeah, I'd love to, man. Honestly, I'd love to come as much as you guys want to have me. So all you got to do is tell me, and I'll be there.
We're on every weekend, so all you got to do is drop me a message, get Rach to drop me a message.
I'll be in.
we do have Freaky Friday too. You know, you can always join us for Freaky.
Oh, absolutely. But yeah, here's his website here, and people, I mean, JFK archive, that day in September archive. See how I got around the algorithm there.
Yeah.
And
He's
then
a legend.
Hell yeah.
everything on there, dude. Everything.
What does he think about 9/11? Like, what's his general opinion?
Oh,
Like,
gee,
quick-
he was the
quick.
first responder.
He does
Really?
yeah, and he doesn't get caught up in any of like particular theory
No.
because there's so many competing ones out there. All Popeye will really definitively say is it didn't go down the way the government told us.
Yeah.
Well, that's how I feel too. That's pretty awesome. He
Yeah.
sounds logical as hell. I like that.
Yeah.
Very, dude. Very. You know, a big loss when Popeye stopped doing the radio, and hopefully we can coax him back into it when he gets there.
Oh,
all
he'll
set
do it,
up.
but I have a caveat. I'll tell you off the air.
Yeah, no problems. But yeah, anyone that likes uni, anyone that likes this, and I know there's a lot of new people out there to the info.
Uni kind of looks like his long lost like stepchild or
It
something.
could be.
Like a love child.
We could make fun
Never
of
know,
that.
man.
Yeah, we could make
You
fun
never
of
know.
that. We really could. So I'll drop this in the
I
chat
got
room
meet
for
my dad.
people out
Am I
there.
gonna meet my dad?
And I urge anyone who's a KBS listener. I promote Uni all the time. You know that. So they're probably all on Uni's channel anyway. 90% of the mods on this channel are Uni's mods. So I imagine we've probably got all the same audience anyway. But for anyone out there who isn't with Uni, I urge you all to check him out. Unirock, Unirock 2. You still got Busy's archive, dude?
It's called Uni Review now, but yeah, it's
Nice.
there.
Nice. So Uni, that's us, folks. We're out of here. And I
Gracias.
can't thank you enough, dude. And for anyone that's tuned in today, seriously, it means the world to us. And we will be back tomorrow, slightly earlier time, 7:30
Mañana.
on the East Coast, 4:30 on the West Coast, and midnight here in the UK. So until then, folks, adios, and we will be back tomorrow.